This is going to be the last video of the day. My back is hurting. We watched. This is going to be the 15th video. I thought they were going to go to 18 videos. We cannot do it. My back is really hurting.
So this video is
will be the last one. This is requested by who, yeah? Let me check. Where is it? Okay, this is requested by
Subru Selvan.
Subru Selvan.
Yeah.
Subru Selvan is actually asking us to react on a lot of fun videos, interesting videos.
Yeah.
So, 13 countries
Yeah.
who love India.
Who are they?
I'm guessing Japan is one of them. I'm guessing hopefully Indonesia is one of them.
And anyway, we haven't introduced ourselves.
Oh, who are we? My name is Isha.
Hi, how are ya?
Welcome.
Welcome to the Hiubang Show.
Before we react on the video,
always, yeah, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like, comment, share, and turn the bell on.
if you like our video,
Send us an email for brand endorsement.
check it out.
India.
Kaget gua.
What was that?
Don't you think so? Well, if you've ever been to this country, or maybe you're only thinking about visiting it, then you're bound to fall in love with it. On a larger scale, that is, when we're talking about whole nations, not just
Bring our
tourists,
spouse.
there's a lot of love for India as well. So, which countries share affection with the land of spices?
How many countries? 13, yeah?
30.
Well, there's number one, Afghanistan.
Oh, yeah?
Relations between India and Afghanistan have been friendly for decades.
Oh, okay.
India was among the first to recognize the Republic in the 1980s, and since then, they've been really close, giving each other a helping hand when needed. Afghanistan knows it can always rely on India as a partner, and perhaps even a mentor, because it was its greatest helper in troublesome times. In peaceful times, India hasn't neglected its partner either, building schools and roads, sponsoring scholarships, and providing other aid. In 2007 and 2008, the government of Afghanistan even called India the country's most cherished partner and a brother country to their own. If that's not true affection, then I don't know what is. Number 2.
Japan.
Myanmar.
I'm so sorry.
Sharing a 1,020-mile-long border,
Oh,
India and
tetangga.
Myanmar, or as it was formerly called Burma,
Tadi di atas.
have strong historical bonds. So naturally, they can't but have at least some kind of a relationship. Some kind isn't enough to describe these two nations, though, because they have a warm friendship between them. Despite the troubles Myanmar has had in the 20th century,
Oh, yeah?
India has always been there for its neighbor, forever supporting and inspiring them. And since 1993, the relations between the countries have been steadily improving. Today, India is the largest buyer of Burmese goods, and they've even built a huge three-sided highway connecting India, Myanmar, and Thailand. Hey, friendship supporting infrastructure. That's awesome. Number 3. Maldives.
Oh,
What comes to your mind when you think of Maldives?
Maldives itu Sri Lanka.
Beautiful
Maldives.
blue waters, cozy little bungalows,
Oh, negara,
warm
Maldives negara.
tropical sun. Ah, yes, a true island
Maldives.
paradise. Well, this country also happens to be located in the Indian Ocean, and it has a very special relationship with India. To start with,
Sri
India
Lanka
was
dekat
the
sama India,
first
ya?
to recognize
Bom
the
itu
independence of
namanya.
Maldives in 1966 when it broke off from Great Britain. I guess getting some recognition is a good start if you want to become friends with someone. And the two nations did become close partners. For more than 50 years, they've been cooperating on issues both big and small. What's more, India even takes part in ensuring the security of Maldives. Well, how neighborly of them. Number 4. Sri Lanka. India is Sri Lanka's one and only neighbor, separated from it by the Balk Strait. This and many other factors made it obvious that the two countries should work together to achieve great things, and they sure did. Despite the numerous problems and tensions they had between them before, India and Sri Lanka's relations have improved a lot in recent decades. For example, after a 2004 earthquake in Sri Lanka, India was the fastest to react and help its neighbor. I think this is enough about how much they care, and I'm sure the future is only bright for these two neighboring nations. 5.
Indonesia.
Australia.
Close.
Given that both India and Australia belong to the Commonwealth of Nations, it isn't at all strange that they have a lot in common. They both once belonged to the British Empire, so there are lots and lots of cultural links between the countries. In particular, cricket and field hockey are two sporting passions they share that came from the time of colonization. In fact, cricket is so popular in both India and Australia that the national teams often tour each other's countries. And probably the best thing about it is that the most talented young Indian cricket players get scholarships to train at the Australian Cricket Academy. Looks like friendships can open a lot of great opportunities.
Indonesia.
Number 6. Japan.
No, it's Japan.
History proves that nothing could lessen the warmth between Japan and India. I mean, Japan actually imposed sanctions on India at one point in the late 90s, but even this didn't weaken the bonds connecting the two. They really are a great example of strong cooperation and partnership, with Japanese corporate giants like Sony and Suzuki building their manufacturing facilities in India. But perhaps the most important gesture of goodwill was made in 2008. The two countries signed an agreement according to which India received a loan of $4.5 billion to build a high-speed railway connecting Delhi and Mumbai.
Yang tadi yang belum
Of
terakhir
course,
itu.
the loan was to be returned. Who would even think about giving away such a sum? But the interest on it was really low. Hey, special conditions for your pals, right? Number 7.
Indonesia.
Singapore. With its position as a hugely important trading post, Singapore was rather vulnerable when it gained independence in 1965. All kinds of countries wanted it to become part of them, but only India offered a helping hand and an alliance, not a merger. Since then, Singapore and India have maintained a warm relationship. In fact, Singapore has become one of the largest trade partners to India, and they both enjoy mutual import and export of each other's goods. Number 8.
Indonesia.
Thailand. As I said
So we
earlier,
can go to
India
India
has built a
through
three-sided
Thailand.
highway connecting it with Myanmar
Nyetir,
and
coy.
Thailand.
Highway.
This is thanks to an interesting fact. Since 1991, India has employed the Look East policy, which means that it's been trying hard to achieve good relations with the countries of Southeast Asia. At the same time, Thailand employed its Look West policy, which was basically the same as the Indian effort, but in the opposite direction. So naturally, the countries met halfway, strengthening their bonds with all kinds of agreements. Historically, though, these two nations also have a lot in common. India had a huge influence on Thailand's culture, and some of its ethics are even taught in Thai schools. You know, that's a really cool level of trust. Number 9.
Indonesia.
South Korea.
Why?
Relations
Why
between
is it
India and South
actually
Korea
Indonesia?
actually began as far back as 2,000 years. It's believed that Princess Hyo, a legendary queen of Korea, came from a distant land to marry King Suro, and that land was most probably India. Anyway, a lot of things happened since then, and today the Indian-Korean friendship is at its highest. Any South Korean citizen can travel to India without a visa and receive it upon arrival to the country. As for trade, in the last few decades, it's been growing at an astounding pace, proving that the two nations are quite serious about their mutual agreements. Number 10.
I give up.
Jamaica.
Don't even.
Jamaica is another
mention
country
it
on my
again.
list that's had many ties to India since the times of the British Empire.
Jauh banget ya.
Like Australia, Jamaica belongs to the Commonwealth of Nations, and some would say most importantly, they like cricket. How can they not be close with such similarities? Anyway, India buys almost everything that Jamaica exports, and that alone is reason enough for their relationship to be cordial. They support each other whenever they can, and that's an example of real friendship between nations. Number 11. France.
Again, Indonesia is not on the list.
Surprised?
Indonesia is
Well,
definitely
you
on the
shouldn't
list.
be, since Indian relations with European countries are also rather warm, and this especially concerns France. For centuries, the two nations have kept strong cultural and trading ties, and since 1998, they've also become strategic partners. France is, in fact, one of the few countries that seem to support India in all of its endeavors. Both countries have a particular day dedicated to each other, and they describe their partnership as a special relationship, which means a lot in the diplomatic language. Number 12. The UK. Of course, I gotta mention the UK here. The two countries' strong ties are the result of British colonization, which ended in 1947, but still left a significant trace. The number of British Indian citizens is steadily growing.
Can you guess the 13?
Today, there are about 2 million Indian people living permanently in the UK. The two countries are really close and respectful toward each other. They have not forgotten their past, but they have shown that cooperation and partnership can overrule anything. In 2010, the UK's Prime Minister at the time said that India and the United Kingdom have a new special relationship. Ah, there's that diplomatic language again. Number 13. Iran.
I'm so wrong.
India and Iran have a history of disagreements in many areas, but their current relations are pretty much cordial and warm. A public poll conducted in 2005 showed that 71% of Iranians viewed India positively, which is definitely the overwhelming majority. On a larger scale, the two nations have been close partners in trade, strategy, and energy relations. And that's despite all their differences in views on the global arena. I guess they really are like friends, disagreeing on some terms, but still sticking together. So, what are some of the nations your country is friends with?
I don't know.
Sound off in the comments below.
Well. Hey, you're still using your...
You know why? I'm shocked. Because I thought that Indonesia have a better relationship with India rather than Singapore, though.
Why? Why?
Anyway, so that's interesting though, because like the number of countries from Southeast Asia are definitely Thailand. What's it called? Singapore, and then there was
Thailand and
Myanmar.
Singapore, yeah,
Myanmar is still Southeast Asia, right?
Yeah,
Myanmar.
yeah.
Yeah. So
There are only 3, yeah?
I was thinking that Singapore, Indonesia.
Kaget gue.
I was thinking there was some noise. Sorry. I thought that Indonesia was at least in the top 10 because we had a lot of our history, culture are shared from the Indian.
Especially in the era of fighting, di masa-masa perjuangan gitu. We are in the same.
Which masa perjuangan you talking about?
Like in Sukarno era, because we are in the
VOC,
same league
VOC.
with India. I forgot what.
Anyway, there the East Java ada group. Anyway, so that was very interesting. Would love to see. I think at least Indonesia is is in the top 20 though. I think.
So you would like to expand the number of countries?
13 is not a good number lah. I think you should reach out to
13 is a bad luck lah.
Yeah. So I thought that was very interesting. Love to see this country's relationship grow even better.
Support each other.
And as always, guys, thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.
Bye. Oke, wait. Enggak, record selesai dulu.